Spend the weekend in the city and take home big buys at Circuit City's Memorial Day weekend. Like this VCR with remote, just $144.97. This Toshiba car CD player, now $199.97. This Frigidaire 18 cubic foot refrigerator, only $377.97. And get your choice from Sony, this CD boombox or this portable CD player, now $114.97 each.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art.
Oh, Circuit City, your service was indeed state-of-the-art. Circuit City, you're always going to hold a special place in my heart. Circuit City is a very nostalgic place for me. Because when I was a child, I'd ride my bike up there, ring, ring, and I would just go and look at games. I would save up money, and then I'd buy it at Circuit City. Because that was the closest place to me where I lived in Moreno Valley, California, to buy video games. I remember I used to go up there, walk to that big red entrance, and I would put the money on the counter, look the lady in the eye, like, bring me one copy of Pokemon Blue version. Oh, that was the best. That was the greatest. And when I went up there and bought Pokemon Silver version, oh, that was just the best times of my life right there. Those two games were amazing. And Circuit City was the closest place for me to get those. And the people were so nice too. Always nice. Even though they let all those little scoundrels run out with video games all the time, stealing them and stuff. Anyway. Now, Circuit City was the second largest consumer electronics retail store in the United States of America. So how do you go from that being second best only to Best Buy to being bankrupt? To being zeroed out? To having all of your property, your intellectual property, your e-commerce, your brand name, everything to be sold and purchased for a measly $14 million by Systemax, the same people who have CompUSA and Tiger Direct under them. Now, to many of us, $14 million isn't a lot. But just to put things in perspective for you, some video games out there in the market, a lot of the AAA ones that have big budgets, can cost up to and over, even over $14 million for one video game. So Circuit City in its entirety was purchased for the development cost of just one video game. That's maniacal. But you know what's even more maniacal? The business practices, the decisions, and everything that went on at a corporate level that completely destroyed and brought this company to its knees. And we're gonna cover some of those very reasons, those very same bad business practices, those very same poor decisions in this video. Now, hope you all enjoy it. Now, the first and second reason why Circuit City went under are kind of tied together, and I'll explain that in a second. But initially, the main reason was that they cut off themselves from one of their revenue streams. Circuit City in the year 2000. The new millennia, the Y2K bug. Oh my God, remember that? Well, Circuit City had their own Y2K bug, and it was in the brains of whoever thought this was a good idea. The corporate people got together, and they decided that they were going to take large appliances and push them outside the store. Yes, they removed large appliances from their stores. They removed themselves from the large appliance market. Now, this doesn't make any sense, seeing how Circuit City was only second to Sears when it came to selling appliances. And that was the year 2000. 1999, they made $1.6 billion with appliances alone. Now, why do they think this is a good idea? Because they wanted to save on the shipping fees, and they wanted to save on the warehouse fees. I guess we can now see that getting rid of appliances wasn't a very good idea. But in turn, you know how the previous year they made $1.6 billion? Well, when you remove that much stuff out of the store, you have to redesign the floor. So when they did that across all their stores, it cost them $1.6 billion to do that. Yeah. So as we can see, that wasn't a very good idea. Oh, and let's move on to another reason why Circuit City went under. They kept squandering their potential sales with exclusive deals with different companies. Now, around this time, Circuit City was a little weak, and I think they were going to take any kind of money they can get from any other company that wanted to make a deal. The same way at their time of weakness, other companies abused Blockbuster. But Circuit City, the second largest retail store for consumer electronics in America, had an exclusive deal with Sony to only sell PlayStation games. I'm not sure what the amount of time this was for, but this deal happened right before they made their remake of their stores. So early 2000s. But that still doesn't make any sense. You know, towards the end of the PlayStation 1, early PlayStation 2, it makes no sense. Why would you limit your sales to only one platform when you can maximize profits by selling games on the wide variety of platforms out there, whether they be handheld or whether they be home console? Only after they did the full remake of the stores that they start selling other platforms' games from Nintendo and even Microsoft. But why should you have an exclusive deal for that? It makes no sense. That's like GameStop going to an exclusive deal to only sell Nintendo games or only sell PlayStation games or Xbox games. It makes no sense. They're not going to make that kind of deal because to maximize their profits, they're better off selling a wider variety of available games. Now in 2004, they made the same kind of deal with Verizon Wireless. They set up Verizon kiosks in the Circuit City stores and only sold Verizon Wireless phones and plans. And they stopped selling every other carrier and every other provider except for Verizon Wireless. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But this next point I'm about to bring up as to why Circuit City went under was probably their biggest downfall, their biggest kink in their chain, their biggest weakness in their company. They owned so much real estate, so many stores, and they sat there for years not being used, but they're still paying on it. They're still paying the taxes on it, but they're not utilizing it. It's like owning 100 houses with nothing in it, but you're still paying property taxes for it. You're not renting it out to anybody. You're not living in these houses. You merely have them. You paid money for them and you only have them. Circuit City had millions of square feet just all across the nation sitting there with nothing inside of it. They had a surplus of inline stores, which are stores that are just, in a line in like a shopping center. A surplus of standalone stores. We all know what that is. A surplus of office spaces, distribution and service places. A surplus. And between the 30 years, about the 30 years that, Circuit City was open, they only opened about 10 to 12 stores a year. In 2005, they sold 1.2 million square feet of useless real estate that they weren't utilizing. And not only that, but in 2007, the head guy of Circuit City's real estate came out and said that they were going to open 200 to 300 stores a year. Now, you're already in the red. You're losing money. You're on the verge of bankruptcy. And all of this was bad when you were only doing 10 to 12 stores a year, adding to your number of stores. So why would you try to come out and plan to open 200 to 300 stores? It makes no sense. From a logical standpoint, it makes no sense. And you know what? They did open some stores. Yeah, in the next couple of years, they did open some stores. But guess what? A lot of these stores were primed and prepped. You got people getting hired. Everything was ready to go. They opened. 2 weeks later, they closed. For good. Yes. Some of these stores opened for only a few weeks before getting shut down. Can you imagine anything else more mismanaged than that? That's crazy! There were stores that were primed to open. I mean, people getting hired. Store getting chock full of merchandise. But when it comes to opening day, they were closed. So they closed before they even opened. That's just nuts. And Circuit City, around this time, you know what they were doing? Squandering their workforce as well. They were firing thousands of people to try to make up for money. A lot of Circuit City, they used to be like pure commission. Their employees used to be full commission. That is pretty good because you have someone that has to know about all the products. They have to figure out exactly what you want and sell you exactly what you need. But they have to actually learn about all the products. They changed that format. They had a less personable experience with Circuit City by making it over to hourly, where you have to just check out the front and no one really cares. But they sure did manage to give their top executives a couple $1 million each year. Yeah. Oh, Circuit City. You are nothing more than an empty shell now. Your big red stores, a lot of them are still standing as Halloween stores that open every year, as churches, or they're just sitting there empty because a lot of your stores were also in really bad locations. Yes, that's another reason why they didn't do too well, because a lot of stores were in really bad locations. It was easier to get to a Sears or a Best Buy than it was to get to a Circuit City. And now, as many of you already know, the Circuit City closed. They liquidated all their stuff. They sold a lot of broken merchandise, sold as is, no refunds. They sold a lot of merchandise, so-called marked down, when a lot of it was just marked up so they can mark it down and price it at the original fucking price. So from conception to end, there was a lot of bad decisions on Circuit City's part. And thus ended the Circuit City dynasty. That's all I've got on Circuit City today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. We might be talking about other places that might have gone out of business or other products that just seem to die and fade out. We'll just have to see what happens. This is your BlackBuster Critic, and you all have a good day.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, he's always inviting me over to watch his big, fancy TV.
And you hate him for it. So you want something bigger and better for a lot less money.
Yeah.
At Circuit City, we have all the hottest new TVs, from HD TV to plasma, LCD, and more. And with unbeatable prices guaranteed, you'll find the perfect one. Circuit City.